But let's go find out what our correspondents have been up to, and we're going straight to the western region where tidal waves are destroying homes.
For over 2 decades now, the Anlo community in the Shamal district of the Western region has been battling with tidal wave destruction, which has generally affected every facet of the community life. One of the key sources of livelihood over here in the Shamal Anlo beach is the issue of a commodity tree like the coconut you see over here. And a look at it shows most of the roots having been exposed. And this is the work of the tidal waves that comes so hard and manages to actually uproot most of these coconut trees, leading to a loss of livelihood to those who actually planted them and depended on them for their livelihood. Again, you look at these foundation works over here. These were all houses that were found here at the shores of Anlo Beach, but a chunk of them, or should I say tens and hundreds of these houses that have their foundation exposed or being washed away into the sea, and it goes all the way over there. Occupants of these houses, which have been lost to the sea because of the tidal waves, today say they have become homeless. Then what you see are some of the handiworks of the tidal waves, and where I'm standing currently, I'm told, is the chief's palace that has actually been broken down by this very heavy tidal waves, causing so much havoc. But I have somebody here to tell me what I'm seeing and the impact of it. Chief, where are we exactly as you stand?
We are standing here. We are standing. That is the chief palace, but it caused by tender waves. Last year, September, he destroyed the whole building. So now there's no any place for the chief to settle. And now we are appealing to the government. But not only the chief palace, there are a lot of the houses collapsed by the tender waves. When we are appealing to the government to assist us, government and then non-governmental organizations to assist us to rebuild our town and then the chief palace too.
So currently, when there are issues to be settled by the community, the chief, where does it sit to settle those issues?
There's no any place now to settle any issue, so there's no any place again.
There were a lot of houses around this place before the tidal wave started around 1995-96, and then it became very intense in 2017-2018, where about 500 houses was lost within one particular year, and then that has persisted. In every year, about 200 houses we lost in this community. I can tell you, if you look at the distance from here to the sea, we have lost about 1 kilometer away. Because those days, all these places, we used to be a lot of buildings here, and there are a hill of coconut trees around this area before we even get to the beach side. So currently, I would say the impact, so much so that, the entire community is about a fishing area, and then even to cast their net and then to pull it ashore has become a problem. So it has really impacted on the livelihood of the people.
The impact of the tidal waves here in the Anlo Beach community is far and wide. As you can see, this happens to be one of the basic schools that actually used to serve the community. But as we speak, because of the tidal waves and its impact that actually removed the building's roof, the community has actually lost this very structure to the tidal waves, and no school activity is currently happening here.
This was a very big school, and we were then running even shifts, but the tidal waves had destroyed the school, so that waves get into the classrooms. Therefore, we have to relocate the children to a safer place for the school to go on smoothly. It has really disturbed the school, because as at now, the children don't have permanent place to school. The classes are in the church buildings, and then every Saturday they have to repack the tables, and then the church will go on Sunday, and do that sort of thing, making the lifespan of the tables and the chairs also becoming shorter.
A community that largely depends on fishing over here in the Shaman district. And as you can see, these are fishermen trying to pull a net that they cast to see the quantity of fish that they manage to actually catch here. And they tell me that the continuous tidal waves that they are seeing, which they believe is as a result of global warming, is obstructing or disrupting their fishing business over here, which actually impacts on their overall livelihood.
Personal na assassino ewa free ahako epunano no ekwandem nti oma ye di edom ye dwuma nti oma ye nya akwan twi ebua ntem oma because ebua no so antwe no on time a enam no so otumi efa ebua no mu eko na me find I will frame ye tumi say na ye jaye ahama no wo epunano no yetumi da awifima na tiger wave no otumi befa boat no edi bubo eyi no na asay no ana sometimes kwa anye lucky kwa odi boko ade mpede penyifo ye maye ewo anwona beach ha no ombehwe maye se sea defense bi no obeya maye ama yetumi maintain community ya because first this community onye community oye very good community utu kwa ba ube fili fresh air enam local food ebenye bi edi ba sisi a ma boys ni na tu kwa ko mi wan enwa Accra so why congested ye nyina ye ntumi ko gu Accra dem here ahasu ye Ghana.
The fishing business is very much interconnected and has a supply chain of activities that actually all take part in the issue of fishing. And over here, I've come to one of the fish smoking joint here in the Anlo community. I have somebody who actually takes the fish when it's harvested from the seashore and processes it.
First, na hano oye pa wanya nam ya kwompa no so yanya nam yeto na bu no so okofom ya ba so yeso yedi kokoma yeso ya tonma aguafo no so yeso ya tido sisi ala onti da mu bio mo boko se wadina mu bram kentene bi na mede kugwada kentene bi ya oye 6 million mo koton no so 6 million on so mediban kaw cheda amina muku na mu from na ya ho doso abi musu wo school da muske aso na mutubi mede mo no school nti mo bokaw nti ni nya so ya hawumam ofie kaje obi ni bosa na olukofum na yelidi na olukofum.
This is the main well that serves the Anlo community, and I'm told that despite the importance of this very well that serves the community as their main source of water over here, whenever the tidal waves comes up here, some actually gets into the well.
That's actually I know jujim ka hwehwe azaba garamata maka ba jujimu. Hwehwe na hwehwe a so kunya maka jujimu na mi.
Prior to the 90s, Anlo Beach had a population of about 9,000, but according to the last population and housing census in 2021, Anlo's population had reduced to 2,129, with more set to leave the community as the community and its livelihood get wiped away by the tidal wave. Residents say they fear for their lives.
Nansu sesi ade bebi a ye dru de enho ade sanse punu ba na eba edan de na bebre na wo esro ho no ni nyina adu akogu apunu nti sesi ade ye hia buwa pa sanse senia efa nkrofo bi no ebia yeso onye da ebia mpo sesi apo ya adu yesu nti ye pese ombra ba ye buwa.
For now, residents of Anlo Beach here in the Shaman district of the Western region are calling for a sea defense to prevent the continual destruction by the tidal waves, such as what you see here in this very building that has been collapsed. And again, they are saying that if they do not get an immediate construction of a sea defense, their livelihoods, such as what you see here by these fishermen, would be lost to the sea, as currently they are suffering in terms of the business of fishing over here. For Channel One TV News, I'm Akwesi Enim. Anlo Beach.
Another devastating story there. We have our correspondent Akwesi Enim with us live on via Zoom. Akwesi, many thanks for joining us this Sunday for Sunday breakfast. How are you doing?
I'm doing great.
Great. Let's go straight into the story. So mostly when you visit such communities, they'll point to somewhere in the middle of the sea that's where, you know, the town started from. How bad is the erosion that has occurred? If you could paint a picture for us.
Well, from the account of the assemblyman who has been an advocate for a sea defense to be built for this community, they've actually lost more than 100 meters into the sea. Maybe his calculation might not be exact, but from the account he gave me, several households which were beyond where we stood to do the interview have been lost, and beyond those households were several coconut trees which were also at the beachfront. And so to see that most of these coconut trees have gone together with several houses, it tells you that, the estimate that he even gave me in terms of the land area they've lost to the sea might be more than what he actually told me. And so that has been the situation with this community when it comes to, the extension of that community due to the tidal waves.
Right, and I know President Akufo-Addo had commissioned some sea defense walls. Was Anlo not part?
Well, when you take the western coast, I know for the far west, I know from the far west of the region, some sea defense works are ongoing. We talk about Disco, Azim, and even on the eastern side, getting to the central region, that is the Shama area. We've seen some also being done around Abuisi, somewhere at Abuazi. But even with Abuazi, there's a place they call Abuazi, Aminano. They are now having theirs. But when it comes to Shama proper, a place called Shama-Apo, which also happens to be one of the major seafront where fishing takes place, as you can see from the footage, they don't have sea defense, just like Angra Beach. And so if you listen to, what is being done right now, as you speak, contract has not been given for construction of sea defense for this very community that we are talking about. That is Anlo Beach, which is basically, a settler community, which has been there since, the early 1900s. I'm told from records the settlement, became active from 1902 when one person who joined the British colony to get telephone lines to be wired to Takoradi came to see that there's a lot of fish around the area, and so he went back to the water region to bring a lot of his people to come and settle there, and they've been there for ages. And so it tells you that it used to be a peaceful, settlement without this issue of a sea erosion or tidal waves. But recent development is making life over there very difficult. And don't forget, this community lies not just at the coast, but also at the edge of the Pra River, which joins the sea at that very edge of the community. And so if you look at this, even the pollution from the Pra River eats all the way through their seafront, and you look at the seafront is very much and dirty. So they are suffering from the loss of structures, the loss of their livelihoods in terms of the fishing activities they do over there. And again, even the state of the river, the sea water in front of the community is very much polluted.
Talk to us a bit about their livelihood. So I think some of the fishermen were complaining that their catch has reduced in terms of the number of fish that they are able to catch on a daily basis. How are they surviving? Because I assume that fishing is predominantly what they do, and the women would also go sell the fish. Talk to us about their livelihoods.
Well, if you look at how the tidal waves has actually eaten into the seafront of the community, it has sort of created a very high, seafront where even if you jump, you decide to jump down. If you don't take care, you break your leg. And according to them, it used to be a very low level seafront where they could easily, throw their nets and then pull it without any stress. But right now, they have to pull the nets from a very high hill. Because of the, the eating of the washing away of the seafront by the tidal waves. It's created a very high hill in front of the sea. And so, it's very, very much difficult for them to actually go there. And then they are not able to leave their boats at the seafront because whenever the tides come, it destroys their canoes. And so, one, they are losing their boats because of, the breaking down of these canoes. And also some of the buildings that have actually been broken down, their remains are all over the beachfront. And so it's basically not a comfortable situation for any fishing business to go on at the seafront. Very, very, very much rough in terms of the elements, the various components of the structures, the roofs, the blocks, all over the seafront. And so all these things, according to them, doesn't favor any proper fishing when it comes to the work that they do over there. And so it's affected the catch they make, and that translates into their earnings. And even the women who actually depend on the fish catch to actually process, to sell to the market, they are not getting enough. And the little that comes, because it is not so much, the price is very much high. And that also affects how much they sell the little that they get to smoke. And so when they take it to the market, they don't get sales, which also contribute to a loss to their investment in that business of fish smoking. And so that is the sad, state of their livelihood because of these tidal waves.
In your report, they were threatening to migrate, but migrate to where exactly?
Well, the point is saying the demand made is that because of the fact that most of their their livelihood has been so much affected. If you stay there and you are a young person, you want to do fishing business, you will not be able to be successful. And so the best way for you to look for other place to travel to. And so we have a lot of them actually migrating to other towns, Takoradi and in Accra, and he made a point that not everybody can, live in Accra. Already Accra is choked. And so for them to be able to, continue to stay there, the seafront must be contained so that they can also continue doing their fishing business. And so the call for them is that they want to stay within the Anlo community here in the Shama district, but for them to be able to do that, the seafront must be made friendly with this sea defense that they think when it comes, it will be able to contain the tidal waves that will not end up destroying their boats and their fishing business.
What are authorities saying about this issue?
Well, talking to the DC for the area, one Mr. Ebenezer Dazi, he tells me, the Assembly has made a request, and they've gotten even the Parliamentary Select Committee on Environment to actually come around to see the state of the seafront and how it is eating into the community, taking away structures. They've sent their reports and assurances have been made, but they are still in waiting to see what can be done for the community. According to the District Assembly, they don't have the capacity to see to any sea defense construction, except that central government will have to take this thing up to actually do it. And so they are also still waiting to hear from the central government as to the plans that they have for this very community called Anlo Beach in the Shama district. And even the district capital, which is Shama, if you go to the portion that I mentioned earlier, that is the Shama Apo, they also have the same situation where the fishing business is hugely affected because their boats, kept being taken away whenever the tides come. Structures, get broken down because of, the strong nature of these, tides. And so it even goes beyond Anlo community all the way to the district capitals, coastline, which is Shama.
Wow. Akwesi, thank you so much for your time. rather worrying reports, really. I read here that between 2005 to 2017, this was research done by KNUST, Professor Divana Haji, I think, of settlement studies at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. Research shows that between 2005 to 2017, we've lost about 37% of our coastal areas, right? Can you create a picture? Of course, they say our seas are under threat because of plastic pollution and, of course, climate change. What are the sanitation issues like in Shama or in the Anlo area where you visited? Do you see a lot of this pollution along our coastal areas, the beaches? Are they in proper shape?
Well, I would say the issue of, sanitation along the coasts here in the Shama district and the Anlo community, and even, the Shama town proper and its, shores, it's not different from what we see from other coastal communities. The issue of open defecation is very rare it's very common over there. You see people defecating along the shores of these communities. And one, they will tell you they don't have these toilet facilities, but there are instances where they have even been provided and then they still don't patronize it because that has become a lifestyle. But what we know is that the issue of disposal of plastic waste is very common. When you go to the Shama beach, it is there. If you go to, our local community, they don't use a lot of plastics. This is a community that most people cannot even afford buying sachet water or even to think of bottle water. So if you should see bottled water and sachet water on the coastline of our local community, then maybe it might have been migrated from other nearby communities. But when it comes to the Shama area, you see a lot of polythene bags, sachet water, rubbers, and the bottled water rubbers all over the place.
So clearly the beaches there. So clearly the beaches there are not in good shape. Basically.
At all. But Anlo community, because it is a community that doesn't really, have the capacity to be dependent or using some of these rubber products. You don't see much over there except for those that gets migrated from other communities to their shore.
Wow. I know. Akwesi Ejenim, thank you so much for your time. I'm so grateful that you could join us this morning. But how have you been? It's been a while. You have to catch up with your voice. You have to look for us more.
Exactly so.
All right. All right, great. Thank you so much for your time. And like I was saying, rather another worrying trend, right? Because like I mentioned to him, between 2005 to 2017, 37% of our coastal line has been lost to the sea, eaten into the land. I've heard people like Professor Apienin also state that, see, we don't need an engineering solution to tackling the problems we are facing in the area. Maybe now we need natural solutions. And when Professor Apienin at the University of Ghana was talking about natural solutions, what he meant was basically using mangroves, really, planting mangroves along the coastal line to act as a buffer. So I think the conversations between the local authorities, right, the assemblies and academia would have to be had. Government leading this conversation, playing a key role in finding lasting solutions. Yeah, they'll tell you, we built some sea defense walls at Keta, we've done some at Axim, we've done some in certain areas, but it doesn't look like that looks like the solution, or that should be the solution.
We have the assemblyman for the Anlo Shama district, Bolu, Samuel Bolu, joining us via phone to, give us a bit more perspective on this story. Hello, sir, and welcome to Sunday Breakfast on ChannelOne TV.
Thank you very much for having me.
Right. Tell us about, the destruction to your seashore so far. Have you engaged with authorities, and what have they been saying?
The issue started some years back, and then I can practically tell you that almost all the authorities within the district, the region, and then even the national. They are all aware. They have visited the place severally, assessed the situation, gave some promises, but as soon as they are gone, the promise was not coming. So they are very much aware. Everybody else is aware.
Wow, interesting. So, sir, we understand that there's a direct link, really, between the levels of plastic pollution we see at our beaches and climate change and what's really happening with regards to the high tidal waves we are seeing. Are you minded about some of these sanitation issues, and what is the assembly doing to sort of sensitize the public about the effect of the open defecation we see and the plastic pollution menace in the area?
At the moment, I can only speak for my, for my electoral area in Laguna Beach. When it comes to the entire district, I think the district chief executive who represents the president is available to speak to that. In our community, along the coast of the western region, it has been established that Laguna Beach along the sea is one of the cleanest among them. We regularly organize the community effort to clean around the beach. And also, if there is any the fishing, sometimes they bring some kind of rubbish at the seashore. Yeah, before I continue, the kind of fishing they do at that place, they put the net ashore. It's not a tap they go into the sea and bring the fish.
Okay.
So they cut the net and pull it ashore. So what it means is that if there's any plastic waste and there's some rubbish along the area, the net will pull it ashore. As soon as they get some of this rubbish ashore, we bury them on the ground. Sometimes we take it to a different place and go and burn it. So for the community, we have been doing our best. This issue of the tidal wave eroding the community has been existing for many years now.
Wow. Finally, sir, in your interaction with the assembly and the DC, what have they been communicating to you with regards to your people or residents in the area who've lost some property, whose homes have been destroyed? What is the feedback like from the assembly?
Well, in the beginning, we were all discussing of sea defense, of which they agree. At the point in time, they said the sea defense is quite expensive and that you have to consider relocation. So a plot of land or an area has demarcated for the relocation of which the community have agreed to move to that area. But you need some kind of social amenity, the light, the toilet, the water, because the place is bushy. So if we are able to provide, if the assembly, the government is able to provide those amenities, then it can also encourage the community, those people who lose their houses, to move to that area. I think that is the situation at hand now.
All right, thank you so much for your time, Mr. Samuel Bolu, who is the assembly member in one of the areas affected by the high tidal wave seen. So, like I was saying, I chanced upon some research, right, by Professor Divine Haji at the KNUST Settlement Center. And the point was that between 2005 to 2017, we've lost about 37% of our coastal areas. It doesn't look like much is being done, right? The promise of the creation of sea defense walls have become more political, right? And I mean, over the years, you look at it because the areas where they will likely be constructed are not necessarily government strongholds. So there's that kind of apathy. I don't know if that's the case. But yes, and I've also listened to Professor Pinin, University of Ghana, Environment Studies, say that, see, the engineering solution over the years hasn't really solved the problem. If you go to Kita, the MP for the area, Blajifa Gomashi, she's always out there agitating for the creation of it. His point is that the engineering problem of creating or building sea defense walls hasn't really worked. So maybe we need a nature response or a nature approach,
Yeah.
which he believes is the planting of mangroves to act as a buffer. We don't have enough technical expertise to go into it, right? Academia will have to lead the conversation. But before academia can own the conversation, government should be seen to be interested in it, right?
Yeah, doing something
Yeah,
in their
like
own right.
put funds in
I
it,
think
like
when we say
show
tree
leadership.
planting, maybe that's where we should be directing the trees.
Maybe. But like I said, the technical people should lead the conversation. It's unfortunate that every year in, year out, people lose property, they'll lose their homes. Now,
It's sad.
It's unfortunate. Anyway, so there you have it, the big conversation really we had for today's edition of Sunday Breakfast, going into your communities, telling the stories. Our correspondent in the Western region, Akwesi Ejeni, telling us a little more about his report on some high tidal waves and the devastating effect it's having in communities around. We also had the assembly member for the Anlo area, Samuel Bolu, also come and tell us what the assembly is trying to do in terms of bringing some relief to affected residents.